Assalamu alaikum, good morning everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Vic podcast. My name is Zakaria, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Today's episode is going to be very, very special because of two reasons. The first one is going to be the content. It's going to be divided into two parts. The first one is going to be all about entrepreneurship, how to be an entrepreneur, how to get past the struggles you're going to face, financially or personally. The second part is going to be all about scholarships, how to get a scholarship, where to look for a scholarship, and we're going to debunk all the misconceptions about scholarships. And the second reason why this episode is going to be very, very special is because of our guests. I won't ramble too much about her accomplishments, so I'm going to let her do it instead. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the lovely MAJDA NAFISSA RAHAL. Good morning, MAJDA. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
We're very pleased to have you. So, MAJDA, first things first. Can you give us a brief introduction about your journey from a computer science student to where you are now?
Of course, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
I was quite lucky to fall in love with technology very early on in my life. So, when I passed the baccalaureate exam, I knew, right away that I wanted to do computer science.
Your passion.
Yeah, which was, my passion.
Your passion, yes.
I had launched, website in high school for, high school students to help them with their exams and so on. And so, it further strengthened my passion. And
it was an award-winning one. JDZ.com.
Yeah.
I want the audience to know. It was an award-winning one.
It was also one of the very few websites available at the time.
At the time, yes.
So, I got my baccalaureate exam and came the time to choose. Actually, Pepsouar was not my first choice. I really, really wanted to go to Leuzy. Like most students who really like, technology, they
the go-to. It's the go-to.
It's the go-to school.
Yes.
Yeah. But I missed it by a few
Very good.
in my grade.
Yes, unfortunately.
So I was heartbroken. Pepsouar was definitely not on my radar. I had worked really hard all year long to go to Leuzy. And Pepsouar has this reputation that it's not a very
only for fun.
Serious.
Yes, it's only for fun.
It's only for fun. You might lose yourself going to a school like that. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because, Pepsouar being a university, we had a much more flexible schedule, which allowed me to continue my extracurricular activities.
To follow your passion on the side.
Exactly.
Yes.
So in the second year of university, I was selected to be the representative for Mozilla Firefox, the organization behind the browser. And this experience really, really shaped, whatever came next in, my career, my life in general. First of all, it got me out of my comfort zone.
It's very important, yes.
Yes, it pushed me, to speak in front of an audience, which, was really hard for me, being a very shy person. I'm still to this day.
It doesn't show. It doesn't show at all. You're very smooth.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This, and also having the opportunity to travel, to open yourself, to other cultures, other nationalities, to work with people who were at the top of their field. So all of this really helped me. But at the same time, since it was taking up so much of my time, it was something I enjoyed doing so much.
Eventually, school was bound to fail.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So I started having some trouble at school, and for the first time ever, I actually had to go to remedial exams, which is rattrapage. And at the time,
the second heartbreak.
Exactly.
The second
heartbreak in a row.
Yes.
So when you're a student, you feel like this is the end of the world. Will this impact
my career, my life?
My life.
Yes.
Is this this is gonna stay on my record?
Will my parents kill me?
Yes. Especially that. I wanted to hide it from them as much as possible.
So frightening. Yes.
It is. So I had to readjust a bit and actually focus on my studies again to be able to pass the year for one and to get back on track. And this also taught me priorities. It taught me time management, to not let yourself focus so much on one thing,
yes.
that you forget about everything else.
It made you learn balance.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it basically. I finished my licence at Babzoa, and at the licence level, once I got it, since I had so many activities outside of school, once someone from the US Embassy was attending one of the talks that I gave, and she actually came at the end to speak to me and to say, hey, you're doing a lot of great things. We think, some US Embassy programs might be a good fit for you. So she actually invited me at the US Embassy to speak to Nadia, who is responsible for many programs, including the NISA, which is
yes, great.
Yeah. 1-year program. It's you don't get a diploma at the end, but you get to spend 1 year in the US, and Fulbright as well. So Nadia was the first one to actually introduce me to Fulbright, and she said, I actually think it's a good fit for you, knowing the things that
background, the things that you
exactly do. The background, etc. So she encouraged me to apply, and this is how I decided to do it. Back then, you could still apply with just a licence, which is not the case anymore.
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
So as soon as I got my diploma, I applied for Fulbright, and I got the chance to be selected and to actually go to seriously one of my dream schools, which
Carnegie
is
Mellon
Carnegie
University.
Mellon University.
Yes, great school.
In
it's a great
Pittsburgh,
yes,
Pennsylvania. So I did a master's degree there. It was a wonderful experience.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it was Systems Information Management.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Which is a profession of masters, that is, part of it is technical and part of it is, management.
Great, yes.
Which really helped me later on, since, I had this preparation to actually come back.
Okay, great.
And,
yes, I didn't know that, yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it was basically 2 parts. I didn't know there was a management part.
Yeah.
So that's great, yes.
Yeah.
So it basically helped you on later with entrepreneurship.
Exactly. So at that point I knew that I didn't necessarily want to pursue, research right away. So in my list of choices, I put mostly professional masters, not research-oriented masters. Yes. I wanted to really start on my career as early as possible, which was not necessarily the case when I started at university. When I started, I thought, getting a PhD, that might be, great, might be a good path, but
it's okay to switch paths.
Yes.
So the motivations changed. Yes.
Absolutely, the motivations changed. Your experience changed you as well.
You're defined by your experiences, so it's okay to change the path.
Yes. So I came back.
Yes.
First of all, the decision to come back or not. First of all,
I think it's an obligation. No,
it's an obligation, but you can fulfill it whenever you want. You can actually, which is a lot of what a lot of Fulbrighters do. You can go anywhere else. You can work in Europe or in Dubai or anywhere else in the world. You just can't get a work permit in the US for 2 years.
So you chose to come back.
I chose to come back. I wanted actually to try entrepreneurship, because I'm not gonna come here and lie to you and tell you I was born to be an entrepreneur. Absolutely not.
That brings up my second question. What made you start shifting? What made you give up that diploma that you could have worked in a multinational company here and get a dream salary job for many of us here at the National Polytechnical School? You chose the hardship route, the entrepreneurship route. What made you do that? What was your incentive to do that?
Well, first of all, I felt like it was the right moment for me to try that. Back in 2016, entrepreneurship was all the buzz. It's what everyone's was talking about,
yes.
The events and so on. And so I thought, I just got my diploma. If I decide, that in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, that is not for me, I can still work using my diploma, but I will never get back the chance of starting fresh, choosing your path, and taking the risk of entrepreneurship, because you're young, you don't have responsibilities, you didn't actually get used to a salary, which is
which is great.
Yeah.
So you can afford failure, basically.
Exactly.
You can afford to fail. Yes.
You're young, because getting used to a salary is really hard afterwards to start a company. Everyone knows that the first 2 years are really, really hard.
You're literally broke.
Yes.
I know you're literally broke. Yes. It's worth it. At the end, it's going to be worth it. Inshallah.
Yeah. And so that was the first reason. The second one was when I applied for Fulbright, I actually promised myself that I would come back and I would try to give back by starting a business here, trying to raise the standards basically in Algeria in my field. So I wanted to fulfill that promise, but it wasn't that easy because, as you know, parents.
Yes, of course.
You come back, you just had this experience in the US.
That brings up my other question. You're making it very smooth for me. So let's say I want to start a company.
Yeah.
It's 2022. Unfortunately, here in Algeria, there's still a stigma around not taking the traditional route, the more stable income route. There's a lot of peer pressure, especially from family and friends. So apparently you faced that. How did you get past that? What was the story? Yeah,
so for the first 6 months after I came back from the US, my parents kept bugging me all the time. Like, they even looked for job offers, and they would tell me, Sanat Khak is hiring, whatever, this bank, that company is hiring. Why don't you work for them? It's a great path. What is this company exactly?
They were looking up for you, basically.
When are you going to turn a profit? When do you know if this is not too much risk?
When does the check come in? Exactly. Yes, when does the check come in?
And obviously, as you said,
they're looking out for you.
Yes. They want the best for you. So, they try to push you towards what they think is the safest, what they think is the best path.
Yes.
So after a while, after a few months, you're trying to work hard, basically 15, 16 hours a day.
Non-stop, basically.
You come home and your parents keep bugging you that
where is the check?
You're not doing the right, they are not making the right choices and so on. So what I did after 6 months is, those interventions where
they did an intervention.
I did
you did it for them.
I was like, I need to gather you guys.
Good.
Let's do something. Give me 2 years, give me 2 years.
Okay.
If after 2 years this doesn't go anywhere, still, not profitable, still not, too risky, then let's drop it. I promise I would go the safe route. I would take a job and you'll be happy. But
I'll
just
do what
give
you
me
want,
2 years.
basically.
Don't tell me anything.
Don't talk to me.
Don't talk to me. Don't criticize. Just let me be. Let me do, my
what
thing.
I want. Yes.
And we'll see. And so it happens that after 2 years, we had actually made a lot of progress. We had our first clients. We hired team members. We changed the company's, I won't call it headquarters, but local.
Yes.
So we grew, and they were actually pleasantly surprised by that.
Yes.
They really did not expect this to go anywhere, since none of my family members are
did the same thing. Yes.
My parents, just have regular jobs. They didn't know what to expect with this entrepreneurship route. So after 2 years, we actually had that discussion, and I said, we have that many clients and projects. We have that many team members. We really think that there is actually something there.
So you trusted the process. You trusted the process, and everything works out.
Exactly.
Eventually.
Yeah. Which, it doesn't always, but it's good to have that target in mind.
Yes.
Say,
Exactly.
I'm giving myself that many years, months, whatever. And
you give it your all and no regrets.
Exactly.
That's it,
yes. Basically.
So Another question is, what's your advice for people who are in the same predicament, who are waiting for their family's approval, for their friends' approval to open up their own company? What do you suggest for them?
Well, on one side, when you're convinced that something is the right thing for you, and that something is not harmful and it's not going to impair something in your life, sometimes it's good, as the saying says, to ask for forgiveness and not for permission. Sometimes this is the route.
You do what
to
you want. Okay, yes.
Do it, as long as it's, as I said, it's not something dangerous, not something bad for you. But if you can, do
at the
it,
end they'll
and
understand.
then
Yes.
ask for forgiveness later on if they get mad.
Yes.
That's one route. The other route is to actually try to have heart to heart, which is what I did with them.
Yes, with the intervention.
After a few months, which is I know what I'm doing. I'm actually not
I'm not
blinded
clueless.
or
I'm not clueless.
clueless.
Yes.
I know what I'm doing. Can you trust me? Can you give me that amount of time? This also reassures them as well that
Yes.
you won't get stubborn and try to make this work at all costs, and 5 years later you're
So you have to make them feel heard, basically.
Yeah,
So you can do what you want.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great advice. Thank you. My other question. So
Yes.
I've decided to open up a company. I've went against the flow. I did what I wanted. But there's a quote from you, and I quote from a YouTube video. A business, especially a small structured one, in order to succeed needs funding. It needs financing.
Very true.
I'm assuming you faced those struggles early on.
Yes.
How did you get past the struggles?
So, I mean, this is absolutely true, and I think any business owner will tell you that, especially at the beginning, you need, at the very least, you need, fonds de roulement. So you need a small amount of money that will allow you to last at least a few months before you get your first clients, before you develop, your solution or your service offering, and so on. So we definitely faced that, and we overcame it in several ways. We took out, loans from, friends, family, that we repaid later on as we built
Which
our
brings up
company.
another saying that
Yes.
Yaqub bin Arab, you know Yaqub bin Arab? He's the founder of Snai. When he was asked this question, he said, we bring financing from the 3 F's.
Yes.
Friends, families, and fools. I was going to ask you about that. Friends, family, and fools,
It's usually
yes.
where you start, because your family and friends, they're your support system.
You're most trustworthy to them.
Yes, and even if they think that, well, this is maybe not going to work, but they're usually the first ones to trust you regardless.
Yes.
So that was, first part of it. The second part was to keep expenses very lean at the beginning, to not go crazy on things we couldn't afford yet. We actually started in a garage in Berkhadem, which...
Like all the greats did. All the greats did start in a garage. So you're following the right path.
which was, the cheapest thing we could
Yes.
find in terms of rent for an office. And, by doing this, it could get us at least through the first 2 years.
Yes.
And then later on, we got the opportunity to actually get an investor, which propelled our growth.
Okay.
So
Great.
we actually sold some shares
Great.
in exchange for some capital, which at some point after the first 2 years, we had, as I said, our first projects, our first team members. There was traction, and traction needs to be fueled by financing in order to move to the next level. There is this saying that what got you here won't get you there.
Yes.
So what got you here to where you are after 2 years of grind won't necessarily get you there, which is scaling and getting bigger and targeting bigger clients as well. I don't know if that answered
No,
your
it's great. It's a perfect answer. So another thing I wanted to ask is about activities. Some activities that future entrepreneurs want to do, some habits, maybe reading, anything. Anything you yourself implement in your life. What can they do?
Well, we're on a podcast, so I'm actually a huge fan of podcasts for
great.
a simple reason. They are, what we call a net time, no extra time activity, which means
Yes, you can listen while doing anything else.
you're on the bus, you can listen to a podcast. You're driving, you can listen to a podcast. You're doing the dishes, which which is what I was
A
doing.
daily habit.
You do the dishes, you have a podcast in your ears. I mean, it's so much better than just listening to music, which you can do, at other times. But when you're doing this activity, chores, whatever it is, and you have something in your ears that can teach you so many things, that can give you access to the world's greatest minds, because especially today.
Yes.
I mean, I've been listening to podcasts for years. It started with audiobooks, actually.
Yes.
And the very first one was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I'm currently reading that right now. It's an amazing book.
It's
really an amazing
I
book.
mean,
The stories on there are amazing. Are really amazing.
Fantastic book. I recommend it. I mean, get past the title. It's not be misleading. How to win friends and influence people.
When people come past me and see the name, do you want friends? Should I be your friend? So yeah, it's an amazing book. Though.
Exactly, but I mean, the book's content is really amazing, and I advise anyone to
actually read it.
Read it. I've read it multiple times, and the first time was in audiobook format, and this is how it started. And then I discovered podcasts, and podcasts are just amazing. I mean, honestly, as I said, it's no extra time activity.
Yes.
So you have no excuse, basically.
Yes, you have no excuses, yes.
You can't say, I have no time to read books, I have no time to do that activity or the other, or listen to YouTube videos or so on. It's in your ears. You can take them anywhere, and their format that's exploded so much over the past few years.
With Joe Rogan and everything.
For any interest that you might have.
Yes, you can find anything you want. Yes,
you can find this content, and actually, podcasts helped me a lot in my entrepreneurship journey, because at every step of the way, you will find people who are ahead of you, who are sharing their,
who pass the same situation you're in right now. Yes.
So they actually give you solutions.
It's great. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like this podcast right now.
Yes.
Like this one. Be sure to check it out completely. So yeah, that's great. That's amazing. Another question, a final question about the entrepreneurship part.
Right.
If you had a do-over in your career, would you take it? Would you do anything differently?
That's a very tough question. It calls for some deep introspection.
Yes.
But to be honest, I mean, I'm happy where I am. You can think about this and think about a million other paths that you could have taken throughout your life or your career. But personally, I'm happy where I am. As I said, even the things that I thought were bad were actually blessings in disguise.
Yes.
Whether it was Pepzouar, whether it was the experience of going through Rattrapage, it actually taught me a lot, and it's actually something good that you see, that you can be successful despite stumbles on your path. So I don't know. For now, my answer is no.
You're doing great right now. Let me tell you that. You're doing great. So that concludes the part about entrepreneurship. We'll go to the part about scholarships.
Sounds
like you said, in 2014, you were an applicant for the Fulbright scholarship. Right. You had the chance to actually be accepted. You studied 2 years in Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, like you said. You got your degree and you came back. What was your train of thought at the beginning? What made you even consider getting a scholarship?
Well, I mean, I think if you talk to any Algerian student,
including myself,
and you say, you would have this opportunity to go fully funded to the US, one of the best, education systems in the world, I mean, they would take it in a heartbeat. So as soon as I discovered it, I knew that, it's something I wanted to do, absolutely wanted to do. So the hard part was to figure out how, because, you look at those scholarships and you think, only only, top of the class valedictorian people can achieve that, and if I'm not that, then maybe, I'm not worth it, maybe I can't reach that, maybe it's not for me at all. So many people actually never try because they think they would never get accepted, why bother? So it's really hard to look at it from the outside and to think, oh, well, actually I do stand a chance, actually I do have, like everyone, some strengths and some weaknesses in my profile, and let me try to showcase my strengths and see whether it works out or not. Which is why we do a lot of activities as past Fulbrighters. We try to give talks to get closer to students, to tell them that it's actually possible and that they should not limit themselves or say, oh, but this scholarship only selects like 4 people
excellence.
Or whatever.
They only select excellence, which is not the case.
Only excellence defined by grades.
By grades, yes, by grades. Of course, by grades.
Which is
not even the definition of excellence.
Exactly.
It's not defined by grades.
So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, you answered your question. You answered my question. So, I've decided to look for a scholarship. What are the best places to look for it? Are there websites? Should I look for embassies like you did? Should I go to the administration of my school? Where should I look for scholarships, basically?
Well, embassies are a good start, definitely. I mean, a lot of embassies, not just the US Embassy, offer scholarships of many kinds, whether it's a master's degree, whether it's other experiences, which is also very valuable, even if you don't get a diploma at the end, but that's not the only value of cultural exchange, of scholarships. So that's a good one. And then obviously on the internet, there are so many websites that list scholarships and opportunities, which is what they usually, they're usually called. So just search for them. Search for them,
yes. And go for it. Just basically just go for it.
Exactly. And the other thing is, clubs like, the Vision and Innovation Club and other clubs at universities are actually organizing full events where you have people who went through
like the one we did last year, Steps,
exactly.
where you came.
Like
you gave a brilliant talk.
Like Steps. Thank you. There were a lot of...
I'm still inspired, to be honest. I'm still inspired.
There were a lot of amazing speakers that day.
Yes, there were.
And each one of them talked about a completely different
subjects, yes, different scholarship.
And different subjects, and they had a different background.
Yes.
So it actually opens your eye on all of those opportunities that are available. So yeah, embassy websites are a good place to start. The internet, obviously, I don't have to point that out, but you have to know that there are many websites, many Facebook pages that list those kind of opportunities. And then the third thing is usually have clubs at the university which would organize events like Steps, like many others, where they bring people who have benefited from those scholarships and that come talk to you, actually tell you some tricks and tips
exactly what to do,
on what to do and how to to get the same scholarship.
So basically you should go for it, don't be afraid to ask, and everything will work out. Just go for it, because a lot of people don't go for it. Actually, a few people go.
Yes.
Another question, how was your experience? Your story with the Fulbright scholarship?
I mean, the experience was life-changing. It was, amazing. I could not even put words on how valuable it was for me to go to a top school in a field that I have chosen, that I really liked, was wanted to pursue. And Fulbright is not just a scholarship to go study. It also, allows you to connect with other Fulbrighters. They have such an amazing network. You get to travel with them, you get to exchange with them, and they're from all over the world, which is also a really, really great thing about Fulbright. But as far as studies, discovering a whole other educational system, getting on an American campus where it's so different in many shapes and forms from what you've known all your life. And I always tell the joke about البختاي, which is when my parents came to visit. They came once during my years in the US. They came to visit, and the first place I wanted to take them was the university. So we were walking, and then I was like, okay, this is the university. We're here. And my father goes, oh, really? Where is البختاي? He's like, we entered, no one checked. There was actually no بختاي.
It actually looks nice.
Yeah, it actually looks nice, which, I mean, it's a whole, it shows you, the mindset shift,
yes.
first of all, and then, people always ask about the cultural shock or cultural differences. This was one of the big ones, how open it is in many ways, open in the sense that professors and teachers are open. They have office hours. You can actually go and see your teacher about an issue you're having, about something you're not understanding. Open in the sense of the many activities that you get to do on campus and the way campuses are built. Open in the fact that you can choose your classes.
Yes.
So
yes.
In any major that you choose, you have what they call mandatory classes. So these are classes that everyone in this major has to take. But you also have at the same time what they call electives. So electives are classes that you get to choose based on your specific interests. On top of what the masters teaches you.
So they allow you to do what you want, basically.
So they allow you to do what you want, to
study
choose
what
those
you want,
electives.
yes.
And the great thing is that those electives you can choose from all the departments of the
great.
university.
That's amazing.
So not only your department, but you can choose to take a class in, for example, the design department, which I did. I mean, I took a course in human-centered design, which was not, part of my department. It was completely other department, but you can choose to take a class based on your interest. The same thing for data analytics. It was, another department, but I could choose to study that and to add that to my curriculum and to my schedule,
yes.
which is, I mean, it
was great. It was amazing. Yes, I'm a bit jealous. Inshallah, I will go there. Inshallah.
I'm sure you will. You have the perfect profile for
Inshallah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we've talked about the advantages. What are some disadvantages about living abroad, away from home, basically?
Right. I mean, right there. This is the first
away from home.
You're away from home, especially in the US. You're really away from home.
Yes.
Like,
very, very far.
When you're in Europe or France, you're one flight away. It's usually a 2-hour flight, aside from COVID, obviously. But usually you can come and go as you please. But when you're in a country, when you're in Canada or the US or those very, very far away countries, things happen back home and you're not there for them, and you can't actually just on a whim, bam, buy a ticket and go to see your family. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to adapt to a new culture. One of my struggles early on at the university was participatory classes. In Algerian universities and throughout, actually not only the university but throughout all of our educational path, we're not really encouraged to speak our mind, to to give our critical thoughts about something.
You only have to follow this path and this path.
Exactly. You're listening to the teacher, you're listening, you're taking notes, and then you have to memorize something that's going to be on a test, and you take the test, and that's it. But in the US, we had full participatory classes, which means your grade is based on how you participate during the class. Which, I mean, there are no exams, nothing. All your grade is based on your contribution to the discussions that are happening in class. So
you're forced to come out of your shell, basically.
Exactly.
You have to
do that.
Yes.
And you have, to develop your point of view, to develop, opinions, to present arguments, because it's not just opinions based on, nothingness, but it's opinion actually supported
Actual
by facts.
valid arguments.
Yes, valid arguments. So this was one of the things I struggled with early on. And the good thing is that it's not only because you would think maybe in literature or maybe in other fields, not technical field, they would do that and that would be accepted. But even in the technical field, you don't get away with just listening to a teacher speak and then just memorizing and so on.
You have to be interactive. You have to be present.
Yes. And so
that's amazing.
That was one of the other struggles, if you will. And then that's always funny because you don't think it will be, but the weather. I mean, Pittsburgh is a super cold city.
Yes.
It's freezing. We had 3 to 5 months of minus 30 Celsius, which is insanely cold. And the thing is, the cold you can somehow manage because it's heated everywhere and so on. But the gray, I didn't realize how much
depressing,
how lucky we are to live in
sunny places.
In a sunny place where you have the sun basically every day of the year, and you don't think that it affects your mood, but when you actually go through
actually does,
3-4 months without seeing the sun at all, it actually does affect your mood. And I will never forget, we had actually we actually went through a whole winter, freezing, gray, and then finally it was March, April, it was starting to get better. And then we wake up on one morning of the end of April, which it's not winter anymore. And I see 15 centimeters of snow outside the window, and I'm like, what happened? What is wrong? Is winter back?
The fastest route for depression, I swear to God. Wow.
It is. So yeah, these are. It's not something that will. Will make
they won't compete with the advantages.
Definitely. But just think about that. Great. Choose, California or
choose your battles. Yes, that's great. So, my last question: what are the qualities that you gained while living abroad that helped you become a better entrepreneur? Just to build a bridge between this part and the first part.
Well, first of all, I would say confidence. Out there, as I said, with the different classes, with your interactions with your classmates, with the different activities that you get to do, because again, there are many clubs, but there are also, a career center, which you can go to, and you have an advisor, which actually helps you with many things. You can do, mock interviews, they review, your resume, they help you all around to manage your career. Even if you want to start a business, this is how you go about it. So the confidence to actually do it, which was not only supported by my Fulbright experience, but from everything that came before it. But the Fulbright experience was definitely a big push to my confidence in general. The fact that that you are getting absolutely top level education actually helps. That's the other thing. And then the third thing is that we had a lot of speakers actually come on campus to speak to us about cutting edge technologies, about this field and that field, and those events, those interactions with speakers that came from all over the US also helped, because some of them spoke about entrepreneurship, they gave advice, they gave guidance, they gave you their contacts to stay in touch afterwards, to actually ask them any questions or to ask for guidance. This also contributed quite a bit to giving me that little extra push needed.
It boosted everything.
To believe in starting a business.
Yes. In confronting the parents. Confronting the parents. Yes. That's great. My last question. My final question. Thank you for an amazing episode, by the way. My final question.
Happy
What
to.
can we expect from MAJDA in shifting in the next couple of years? What can we expect?
Well, I mean, our goal from the get-go was to raise the standards, right? To raise the bar for whatever services we were offering in Algeria, to raise it to international standards. And after, now more than 6 years doing that, and hopefully doing that somewhat successfully, the next frontier is obviously everywhere else in the world. So it's going international. It's to measure ourselves up to whatever is done internationally. And we started, by applying to award competitions and seeing, whether our projects measured up. And, we were happy to win 2 awards, one last year and one this year for projects we've done for our clients, and win it at the continental level, so African level, which is, already
very, very amazing. Yes, it's very big. Yes.
Thank you. And so the goal really is to take this to the international level, to measure up and to see if we actually can make it happen.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
Thank you. Hopefully.
Eventually you will.
I hope so. I hope so.
So, thank you very much, MAJDA. Thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting the invitation and being so smooth with this talk. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching.
I'm really happy to be part of this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're a very good interviewer.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Be sure to check out everything about MAJDA in the links in the description. Thank you to Bati Metal, the sponsors of this podcast. Without them, nothing would be possible. Thank you, everyone. Be sure to check out the previous videos and stick around for the ones to come. Thank you very much. Goodbye.